Hi there, I'm going to talk about the coaching mindset and key skills of the coach now. Okay, I guess the first thing that comes into mind is when we talk about coaching is the mindset shift. I mean, it's a big deal for teams moving to Agile, but it's also really critical that as coaches we get the mindset. We've got our heads in the Agile mindset space. Um, this kind of five little list of five kind of characteristics here. It's stuff from experience, stuff gleaned from other coaches, but I think it kind of gets to cuts to the chase quite nicely. So first of all, kind of thinking in terms of value delivery over specific targets. And what does this mean? Well, it's actually digging into that point about actually you're doing agile. You've got your head up. You're focusing on getting to value delivery as fast as you can and as effectively as you can, and running an efficient process, efficient self-improving process, driving forward. And it's about value delivery, value delivery, value delivery, and it's that delivery of value. Let's see where it takes us. Let's see where it takes us to the point where we delivered maximal value for optimal cost, and that's where we cut the project. The alternative to that is obsessive, heads down, focus on the target, and is do everything that was said in the initial scope. And we kind of know what happens there. The big risk of that approach is we miss the value. We deliver a whole bunch of stuff that was kind of so, but not really relevant. It's kind of falling back on the old ways of working. So big focus on it's about the value. Facilitating over being a subject matter expert is always really interesting, especially for us as coaches. We've been around the block, we know what we're doing, we understand Agile. It's so easy just to step in there and lead from the front, and it's a wrong answer. It's about facilitating the team, it's getting the team to get to the answer, and that's how they do the learning. That's how the guys learn. That's how, to be blunt, they make you redundant. That's what we seek to do as a coach. Get the team to a point where you can step back a bit and focus perhaps on newer teams, or focus on helping introduce newer techniques or improved techniques that haven't used yet. So it's about facilitation. And this applies to you as a coach, but it also applies to team members. Don't need to grandstand. It's about helping my colleagues get in there and contribute what they can to getting the right answer, or getting a better, more effective answer. Openness and trust over judgment and manipulation is a really interesting one here. And it applies kind of to fellow team members, but also to external stakeholders. Again, working agile to the fullest extent possible, regular delivery, regular heartbeat of delivering working software. It drives up trust, it increases trust for stakeholders, it increases our credibility because we're doing what we say in the tin, we're delivering stuff which is of value. And it means that problem solving, collaboration is far more likely than laying down blame. If there's an issue, if we've built up some level of trust and credibility with our customers, put hands up and say, guys, we've got a problem here. Be open and honest and transparent about it, and we're far more likely to get a rational answer, or at least a frank discussion of needs, and we can all do something about it together, rather than trying to hide it under the table. There's a whole bunch of dysfunctions you want to kind of avoid falling into. Stuff like hiding problems. So like things like glossing over defects in a demo, just kind of not really owning up to them. Claiming stories are done when they're not really done. Slipping the iteration a little bit to allow us to finish stuff that we've hoped we were going to finish, because we're perhaps a bit over ambitious with our scope on that sprint. In their own sense, these dysfunctions are not too fatal. In fact, they're all too human. Done them myself. In the past, we all have, but the catch is if we let them slip too much, what we do is we start accumulating bigger and bigger and more significant technical debt, and then finally, when that is revealed, as sure it will be at some point, trust takes a big hit at that point. Looking at team empowerment and learning over doing it for them. And again, it goes back to the facilitating point. It's about helping the team feel empowered, is helping the team take ownership of challenges, of good things, of things that haven't worked so well, rather than just telling them the answers. And then lastly, team improvement over specific results. It's about doing Agile well. It's about making the process sing. It's about making it work. It's about building and continual improvement through our retrospectives. Regular heartbeat of value delivery. And if we can do that well, then boy, will good results follow. But this is really interesting. I've got this little note about the transition's hard. It is. For a lot of people, this transition is really hard. If you've come from a kind of PM background, often where you're seen as the team driver, the team leader, the saviour of the project, perhaps even, with that, if you've got that mindset locked in, this is really hard, because the Agile coach mindset is almost the antipode of that. It's the reverse of that. It's about, I'm the facilitator of the team, so I'm invisible to senior management because I put the team first. I always put the team first. My contribution is very hard to see as a coach. So with that kind of that in mind, this can be a tough transition for a project manager or a very upfront, kind of decisive, dynamic person. It's about using those strengths to put them in service of the team. Okay, look at some behaviours now. Behaviours of a coach. Okay, we have to reflect. And what does that mean? It means we reflect without judging what we see our team doing, what we see our team witnessing, and then wait in silence. If we see, if we're sitting at a stand-up and one or two of the guys are doing a huge amount of grandstanding, and we've got 3 or 4 of the rest of the guys actually sitting in silence, saying nothing, really not contributing at all to this. We might actually just reflect that back to the team and say, hey guys, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm kind of thinking, and then being quiet. What do you think about this? And then just being quiet and seeing what comes back. So it's about showing what you're seeing and letting the team then come up with solutions. Mastering yourself is, again, it's fascinating. It's actually, often I think of it, it's just taking that deep breath before you say something. It's just pausing before you go in and say something. And then when you do communicate, it's about being non-judgmental, about being non-violent in our communication, not implying or stating a threat. And this is all really kind of a lot easier to do when we're dribbling along with processes working well, the team's working well, the technology's working well, we're delivering on a regular basis. It's cool then. But when things can get a bit stressful, we've got some significant problems with our technology stack, significant problems with understanding or getting to closure about what a customer really means by a set of stories. That's when things can get really stressful, and then communicating in a non-violent manner can get harder. It's very difficult not to actually overload a conversation or something which is a supposed choice, and with some threats, to be honest. So you kind of really have to try and step back from that and just kind of watch what you're saying yourself. Being comfortable with uncomfortable silence, and this is, again, it's a fascinating area. And why we're doing this, it's about letting the team realise that it's okay to be quiet and to have silence while we actually think about something. We don't all know the answer, bang, just like that. And in fact, it's often a great thing to actually be quiet for a moment and let your mind windmill a bit and think through some options before opening your mouth. Engage brain before opening mouth. In fact, even engage brain and let other team members who don't customarily come forward, give them an opportunity to come forward. And as a coach, we can role model this behaviour, sitting there in silence, looking at the team, not engaging one particular person in eye contact constantly, but moving eyes around, neutral expression on her face. It's okay, I'm chilled, it's not a big deal. So encourage the team to come forward in due course with their own answers and suggestions. Being unreasonable, it's about not really settling for the status quo. It's about when someone says, oh God, it'll never work here, we tried it before. Challenge it, push it. Why not? Why can't we do this? And that always pushing and pushing is, it's part of the own, it helps drive up that kind of tempo for change in the organisation, helps drive up the pressure for change. We won't always get what we want, we won't always get that interface through with the operations guys instantly, seamlessly addressed, but at least we can start making some steps to addressing that. And that's what being unreasonable is about. Don't just settle for second best. Try and do something about it. Letting the team fail. Again, another fascinating area here is letting failure happen. That's where learning happens as a team. When we fail together, pick ourselves up and work out what went wrong. What could we have done better? That's when learning is at its most incredibly powerful. So as a coach, we need to be aware that we let our teams do this occasionally, or even more than occasionally. It's important. Clearly, we're not going to let the guys walk off an entire precipice and fatally damage themselves, but again, the beauty of Agile is it's the kind of like in a 2-week sprint, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's not the end of the world. We can let some things go and then pick up the pieces at the retrospective. And then lastly, encouraging the team. And this is all about, this is not just empty praise. It's not just empty feedback. Yay, you're all fantastic, guys. Or you've done some amazing work, because work doesn't define guys, but what does define them is the way they work together as a team, the way they collaborate together and empathize with each other, the way they listen to each other, the way they give good, positive feedback to each other, good effective redirective feedback even. That's wonderful behaviours, and they, the behaviours, should be called out and encouraged. And as a coach, I guess, what we're trying to do is you're trying to role model all these behaviours. Actually, set yourself up as an example. And this is an example. This is where you lead from the front. You lead from the front in terms of modelling these behaviours in front of the team. Underpinning the coach's kind of role is you kind of have a layer where you're an expert facilitator. And as a facilitator, we do a bunch of stuff. Why, as I guess before this, why is the facilitation skills important? They're important because so much of Agile is about communication. It's about collaborating together. It's about listening. And then also it's about when we have these collaboration events, like a retrospective, like a sprint planning meeting, like just a technology meeting where we're going to talk about some technology choices and try and thrash out what's the most optimum way forward. It's about making sure that the right people are there, that the right people actually have input, and that and we can move effectively and smoothly through and actually come to a conclusion and then follow up on that conclusion. So doing that, how do we do that? We need to be listened. We need to really tune in to what's said and also what the body language is, what the mood is in a meeting or a grouping. If there's really clinched up body language going on, no eye contact, people sitting back, not engaging, tune into that as a facilitator. How are you going to sort this out? Something's going on here. Need to get it addressed. As a good effective facilitator and coach, you can walk into a room and you can take the temperature of that, the emotions in that room really quickly, and then do something about that, or start addressing that, or at least change the way you were planning on running it to take effect of that higher emotional temperature, for example. And also, it's part of that is while you're doing that, it's about role modelling. It's about staying chilled, not falling back into some of your into behaviours of type. As individuals, in an environment like that, we can feel threatened, and when we're threatened, we can behave in different ways. Some of us get aggressive, match aggression with aggression. Others of us will just drop into silence or quietness and actually retreat from it. So it's being very aware of what your natural response is and potentially overriding that natural response. Support, being supportive. You're not the star, you're not the focus of the event, even though you're potentially standing at the front with a pen at a whiteboard. You're not the focus. The guys in the meeting or in the session are the focus, and you're in a supporting role and it's about getting those guys engaged and getting those guys working with you to deliver. Summarize, really important to kind of periodically summarize, provide brief summaries so everyone knows where they're going. Put the stuff up on the walls. Keep a running summary on the wall of these are the decisions we've made. This is these are the choices we've taken. Maybe Fred, who's going to do this stuff, so that if anyone comes in late, they can catch up quickly and find out what's going on, and also can help us stop going back over ground, repeating old ground that we've perhaps already covered. Keeps us unconfused, stops us being confused so much, which is really easy to happen. And do challenge. Don't let statements go unsaid. We get just a kind of, can't do that, and then someone goes quiet again. Actually clarify. Say, go on, can you clarify that, please? How does that move us forward to reach our goal? So clarify, challenge. As a facilitator, you're helping drive this meeting forward, helping it be effective, helping get people to say what they actually mean, digging into statements to find out what is the kind of the devil in the detail that's lurking in there that they're not coming out with. And then you're a leader, but you're leading the process, focusing on guiding, focusing on facilitating, helping a meeting being effective, not standing there driving it forward in terms of making all decisions. No, it's the team's responsibility to make the decisions. You're just leading them and helping them and oiling the wheels, and then trusting the group. If you're facilitating effectively, if you've got tools, if you're tuned into the emotional temperature, if you're helping manage that emotional temperature, then trust the group to come to the decision that is the right decision for the time and the place and the situation. And lastly, maintain safety. It should be a safe environment. People should be able to comment without fear of ridicule. So in that case, look out for dominating personalities. Look out for kind of violent body language and deal with it. Perhaps have a very, very quiet word. Perhaps during a break say, "Come on, Fred, can I just have a quick word?" And then explain what you're seeing and what you feel that is making people feel like, and then see what they've got to say for that. And also look at quiet people who aren't contributing and try and bring them in. Stuff like persistent side conversations. Well, call them out. Perhaps if you're in that sort of situation, say, "Okay, guys, we're here to do this, but maybe we should actually let's take 5 and come up with a little code of conduct. This is how we're going to work in the meeting." And for a new team, that's something that's well worth doing at the beginning of a meeting. What's our code of conduct? How do we actually work? How are we going to work together in the meeting to get the goal we're after? Okay, last slide here. It's our IC Agile accredited training roadmap. We're in the facilitation and coaching track. We're built on top of Agile fundamentals, and it's got 2 classes in it: Agile team facilitation and Agile coaching.